I'm going to call on behalf of my sister, and she was at work, and unfortunately, she was in a head-on collision, and it was a pretty horrific wreck.
I'm sorry.
And now, all of a sudden, her employer is not wanting to take the claim. They're denying her workers' comp, and I was just wondering if they have the ability to do that.
It's a tough situation.
You know, I would have to know a little bit more about her situation. Sometimes employers will deny the compensability. Let me back up a little bit. When you're hurt on the job, the employer has to provide an authorized treating physician. And if it sounds like if it was a traumatic injury, and the doctor takes your sister out of work or provides restrictions that the employer cannot accommodate, then the employer or the workers' compensation insurance company has to pay 66 2/3 of your sister's average weekly wage while she's out of work. They don't have to pay 100% of the wages, but they have to pay 66 2/3. A lot of times what they'll deny the claim partially, if, like for instance, and I'm not insinuating this is what happened to your sister, but I do see this happen a good bit, like if you test positive for marijuana or for prescription drugs that you don't have a prescription for, they'll deny the part of the claim where they have to pay you your wages, but they still will pay for the medical treatment. So without knowing a little bit more facts, that's going to be hard to answer, but just what I'm hearing, no, that does not sound like something they can lawfully do, unless it's like a horseplay. A lot of times, if it's a horseplay accident,
and that means what?
You know, goofing off on the job. What the injury was not related to your work. I've had them where a truck driver had a heart attack in his truck and then wrecked his truck, and they deny the claim because they're saying, well, the heart attack was not related to your work, so we're denying the claim, and just because you're on your job doesn't necessarily mean that there was a nexus between your injury and the type of work you do. So, this gets really, really complicated.
And also when you're dealing with car accident type cases, work car accident cases, a lot of times they'll deny those claims because they'll say, well, at the time that you were driving, you were not actually on the job. You may have been going to lunch, although, you may have been going to lunch on your way to your next appointment.
Yeah.
Or you may have been going to or from work in the morning and afternoon.
Correct.
So things like that, you do not need to take, Stewart, you do not need to take the insurance company's word as the gospel. You need to call Stewart and let him go over this with you and see whether or not this is something that can be fought, because it sounds like she was pretty badly injured, and workers' compensation is either going to be there for her, from now on from a medical standpoint, or it's not. And that can be a big deal.